Hey, it's Ghost with Combat Sports Supply. Today we're going to be going over the Echo1 Airsoft Wolfsbane 1911 pistol. The Wolfsbane, it's 1911. It's been modernized. It does have all the same functional controls as a normal one. Your beaver tail, all that. It just has a higher capacity magazine and a little more ergonomic design compared to the originals. Alright, let's see what shows up in the box. So we got a manual. It's actually a pretty nice manual. They did a pretty darn good job with it. Next thing out of the box would be your magazine. It's a high capacity magazine for 1911. It actually holds 30 or 31 rounds in it instead of the usual like 14. It does come with an additional muzzle brake if you want to replace this traditional cap that's on it. All right, next is this tool. It's a little weird looking, but it's specifically designed to remove this cap. So what's the biggest thing that sets the Wolfsbane apart from other 1911s? Well, the biggest thing is this magazine. It's a double stack 1911 mag in a single stack profile, so that's why it holds that 30 to 31 rounds. Your traditional 1911 mag was like this in a single stack and only holds maybe 14. Some of the newer ones will be double stack now, but they're also not nearly as long. Just to clarify that it is a 1911, not a 2011, it is still that narrow profile of the single stack 1911, but they did do the double stack in the magazine. Going over the whole build here, starting off, the mag well is flared and does have easy access for the magazine to make it easier to get it in there if you missed by just a little bit. Nicely dimpled grip. It provides very positive grip on it. I have not had any issues with mine. It does have the beaver tail safety. I've commonly heard it called a dead man safety because the gun can't function unless you're holding that down. It does have this flared back mag release. It is only screwed on, so if you aren't a fan of that, you can take it off and it has the traditional 1911 mag release underneath. It also has this nice cutout in this grip that provides easy access to your mag release so you don't have to take your hand off the weapon to get to it. Now moving down on the frame, we have our fancy trigger. It's got a flat blade trigger on it, which is actually really comfy. It does have an ambidextrous slide safety that functions very nicely. Does have a lightened hammer on it. Now, as far as the rear sight block, it is screwed in, so you can take this off, and with the dovetail mount that it's built into, you could theoretically mount an RMR optic on this. Now, this one does have the rear slide serrations, also front slide serrations, but it's to provide positive grip when you're racking the weapon. It does have the traditional 1911 teardown. There's your slide lock positioning for it, and then right about there is going to be your teardown positioning to pop that pin out so you can take the upper off. It does have a lower 3-slot Picatinny rail, but it's also notched in the center, so it'll mount a few extra things that you might not think would normally mount on a pistol. Now getting to the rest of the sight picture, you have a front fiber optic sight on it, which is pretty neat. And then last, it does come with the threaded barrel out of the box, so if you want to put a tracer unit or any other muzzle device on here, you can, but you cannot do that if you are going to put this on there. What is this? Well, it's actually modern Latin for Wolfsbane. So what is Wolfsbane? Well, the actual plant was a toxic plant, mostly found in Europe and Asia, used primarily by hunters to help disable their prey quickly. The brief history out of the way, how do you put the muzzle brake on this thing? Well, there's that tool I mentioned earlier. It'll sit around it and down like this. It fits perfectly around it. It's going to rotate slightly to this side and this side only. You can let it go, and you may have to wiggle it, but it pulls out. It's held in by that single lug right there. And then to put this in, it's the exact opposite. Make sure that lug is facing straight down. Push it in, slide until straight. Now this looks correct to me at this point. I actually run mine this way. Now the downside is, as I said, you can't put anything on the barrel now because barrel extensions and stuff don't actually fit in here. One of the minor issues I've noticed with mine, I love it, but it does take a little getting used to, is these mags. Getting gas in them can be a little hard because it's such a narrow profile. It heats up very quickly. You might have to chill it 2 or 3 times to get a full fill on it to fire all 31 rounds. As far as how it's shooting, well, The box usually says it shoots somewhere between 330 and 350, which is pretty standard for most pistols in the United States. So as far as using one, I love mine. I've used it a lot. That little bit of extra ammo has saved my butt more times than I care to think about, but I also tend to get myself in really silly situations.
Don't be a fool!
Safety.